Is the universe as old as we have been told? Is the universe really 18 billion years old? Is the Earth 4.5 billion years old? Well, let's take a look. If we look at the viscosity of the moon rock, and that viscosity just basically means how fast something flattens out. For instance, if you take water and you pour it out, it flattens out fairly quickly, so the viscosity is high for water. If you take, let's say, honey in room temperature, pour it out, it'll flatten out fairly quickly, but it takes a while. If you take other things, it may take even longer than that. Now, most people do not realize, but even rocks have viscosity. Um, if you take, let's look at window glass. If you take a window that's been around for 100 or more years and you measure the thickness up at the top compared to at the bottom, you'll find out that the top is thinner than it is down at the bottom. And the reason is because there is a flow of the glass going down. Well, even rock will do that. The viscosity of rock, obviously it'll take many thousands of years for it to actually flatten out, or even millions of years. But if we take the viscosity of the moon rock, for instance, now we've been told that the moon is 4.5 billion years old, and that the craters have been around on the moon is about as long as the moon is old. Uh, and but we run into a big problem when they brought the moon rock back. Uh, they were able to determine that the viscosity of the moon rock would have caused there to be a flattening of all of the craters within just a few million years. So literally, the moon, all of the craters would be gone just in just a few million years, not much less 4.5 billion years. So in the 4.5 billion years, then we would see actually the craters would have had enough time to flatten out many times over. Short-term comets last 10,000 years at most. Now that would, if the universe was billions of years old, obviously there'd be no short-term comets left, um, and of course we still see them. And the reason that short-term comets last less than 10,000 years is they go around a uh, a mass, let's say our sun. The sun actually tears, causes parts of the comet to be torn away from it. So in essence, each time it goes around, there's less and less of that comet left. So that's why they could say that it lasts 10,000 years or less. Now, what this would mean is that in order for evolution to be true, there would have to be some kind of comet factory making new short-term comets on a continual basis. And actually, a few years ago, and actually a number of decades ago, they came up with the what was called the Oort cloud, which was supposed to be a place in space that we could not see, that was manufacturing these new short-term comets all the time. We've discovered there's serious problems with that, and of course that would be, um, you know, total speculation that something like that could exist. Star clusters in the universe are moving away from a common point that would show that the universe is much younger than billions of years. The magnetic field around the Earth is decreasing by 50% every 1400 years. So if we go back in time just 20,000 years, then the Earth would have had the magnetic strength of a magnetic star. Much too hot for there to be life on Earth. The rates of erosion on the Earth would indicate that the continents would have eroded away many times in the so-called billions of years that the Earth is supposed to have existed. Helium is being produced constantly by radioactive materials. Okay, many times one of the byproducts of, let's say, radioactive material like uranium or some of the other radioactive materials is helium actually is produced from that. So they can actually tell now that the uh, Earth can only be a few, at the most, a few uh, million years old, not billions of years old, because the helium uh, that is in the atmosphere is far too little for it to have been produced in billions of years. All of the oil pressure in the earth would be released in just tens of thousands of years. Um, Oil pressure is continually abating. In other words, there's being less and less oil pressure all the time because oil has a tendency to seep through cracks and into pores and that type of thing. So as it's sitting in and has all the pressure on, there begins to be less and less pressure all the time as it begins to seep through the earth. Also, the Earth's rotation is slowing down all the time. A few million years ago, the Earth would have been spinning too fast for life to have survived. The Mississippi Delta was formed in approximately 9,000 years, and we were told, that it took millions of years for this to take place. At current rates, now it's been determined to be just around about 9,000 years. Same type of results for the Niagara Falls. We were told, and actually we found out that people actually made up numbers to correspond with the evolutionary dates, but in reality, the Niagara Falls have only been around for approximately 10,000 years. Salt in the oceans is enough for thousands of years, but certainly not millions as we've been told. Salt in the ocean, if being put into the oceans at present rate, or even much slower than today, would be deadly to all forms of life that live in the oceans. So is the universe 18 billion years old? Is the Earth 4.5 billion years old? The scientific evidence is overwhelming that the Earth has only a small fraction of the age that we have been told. Thank you for visiting evosecrets.com, and I'll see you on the next video.